joining me for another episode of Star Wars Talk. Now, since we all know that The Force Awakens is coming out this December, what else are we getting that's new? Well, we got Rebels, we got new movies, spin-offs, all those things. What else? Got new literature, guys. Literature up the arse. All right, now let me get to it now, really quick. Since Lucasfilm was bought by Disney, not only are they making new movies, but we're also going to take the expanded universe, meaning all those books that we saw over the years in our local bookstore, Barnes & Nobles, Borders, all those things. All of those books, okay, all gone. They're not even part of canon anymore, meaning that they do not affect any part of the storyline in the movies, the cartoons, anything live action, okay? So they're all out the window. A ton of Star Wars fans were pissed. They were angry. I'm sorry, that sucks. I was one of those Star Wars fans that really didn't care to read any of those books anymore because you had one issue where Chewbacca was killed by a moon, and then 4 books later he was alive and doing things and he's in another adventure. And then 5 books later down the road he was a drag queen or something. No, I'm just kidding about that last one. But you see what I'm saying. So there wasn't really a cohesive storyline. So because of Lucasfilm being bought by Disney, this gives the opportunity to push the reset button, refresh everything, and just start over again. And that means that, yes, not only are we getting new movies, not only did we get a new cartoon, but we're also getting new comic books, guys. Dark Horse Comics was the ones who were in charge of the Star Wars comic books, and then because of all of this, the negotiations and all those things, the trade negotiations, Marvel Comics now does the Star Wars comics, and it's awesome. It's great. It makes sense, right? Disney, Marvel, right? So yeah. So earlier this year, Star Wars issue 1. Issue 1, that's right. That means that if you really want to be caught up in everything Star Wars, right now is the perfect time to do that because we only have 3 Star Wars comics out. Only 3 that are part of canon now. Just 3. Remember how many there were before? There were like 1,000. Now there's just 3, guys. So if you really want to be caught up to date, it's fine. It's okay. And they're really small and very short. Now let's start with Star Wars Issue 1. Issue 1 takes place shortly after Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. It really reintroduces the characters in the fashion, the spirit. I mean, it's so awesome. Now, kids today who are so into the prequels, who are like, I love Anakin, which I don't, for the life of me, I don't know, I don't understand. You might be 10, and it's okay, because you're a kid, and I'll forgive you. But for those who are like, I want something from the original trilogy, this is it, guys. This comic issue alone really brings back the spirit, brings back that nostalgia feel. Instead of going, I'm trying to picture them saying this, you actually hear them saying this because I gotta say, the artwork, the writing, everything in this comic book issue, as well as the next, but especially this one, was so fucking awesome. All right, now this book really brings back what Star Wars was all about. However, without getting into too much spoilers, okay, like without getting into detail, there is something that happens at the end of this book that makes me question Empire Strikes Back. Not question in a bad way, but kind of go, well, wait a minute, that changes things, and that leads into this issue. Issue 2, because in the beginning we start where we left off from the last, and that kind of changes things as to how these two characters met. We thought that they met in Empire. They didn't. They met in the comic. They met way before then. So it kind of changes your views on the Empire Strikes Back just a bit. Not in a bad way, but in a way where you're like, well, that doesn't make that moment special anymore. But then again, a big part of my brain's like, well, dude, you're used to the movies and you're used to it this way, so you still find it special. But it's really cool to know that the events of these two kind of changes your aspect, on the film. But nonetheless, terrific storylines. Now there are a few flaws, a few things that you can tell that are kind of a little bit forced in, pun intended. A little forced in, meaning that, there's certain lines that, like, I may have a very good feeling about this, and all those things. Or, you remember the line, there was a pop culture famous line, these are not the droids we're looking for. Well, in this book, they kind of poke fun of that reference, and you're like, oh, that kind of threw me off a little bit because it's an Earth joke in a Star Wars comic book, and the Earth joke alone is a Star Wars joke. It just kind of makes things weird. But anyway, I'm not used to it. However, you know what? things are changing, and it's changing for the better. Now, I want to get into the last, but certainly not the least, and the one that is my favorite by far. As a Star Wars fan, this affected me more than anything, even the prequels. Darth Vader. Darth Vader has his own issue, everyone, which I'm excited because issue 2 comes out February 25th. Go ahead and pick that up at your local comic book store, please, because this is gold to me, all right? This issue alone really goes into the mind and psychology of Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker, if you will. I mean, I felt like there was more Anakin than Darth, and I want to say that in the most positive way, because Anakin Skywalker really isn't a character that I really liked. He's a very he wasn't written very well, so it's kind of hard to kind of pinpoint what I like and don't like about Anakin. But what I did like about this issue was the fact that it really goes into, you know, Vader dealing with trying to right all the wrongs. You know what I'm saying? He fucked up by letting the Death Star get destroyed and all that stuff. Emperor Palpatine's pissed, and there's a moment in there where you see Darth Vader really just, he doesn't take rejection very well and failure. And you see that failure reminds him of a bigger failure early on in his life. And that last panel, without spoiling anything, I will say, in this book, oh my God, chills. Just complete chills. It makes you look at that one bad movie and go, ooh, that adds an element of cool. But that movie still sucked. But anyways, guys, so that's pretty much just a very vague review of my thoughts on these books, because I've gotten a lot of people asking me, what do you think of the comic books? What do you think of Rebels? I will have a very big review of Rebels, series review soon. Possibly, I think, one of my next videos or the video after the next, but I will get to that soon. But guys, pick these books up. It's such a great time to be a Star Wars fan, if you want to be. But I gotta say, there's a character, before I go, there's a character in this book. Now, if you've seen my Force Awakens speculation videos, okay, especially on concept art alone, there's a character in this book at the end that the Emperor himself is speaking to, and Darth Vader is like, who's that? The Emperor's like, don't worry about it, just go and worry about not fucking up again. He didn't say that word for word, but that's, yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much what he said. And then when he leaves the room, there's this gentleman speaking to Palpatine. And if you've seen some of the concept arts of Max von Sydow's character, it's not really a stretch. It really isn't. He kind of, that's because whoa, it's Max, wait a minute. It's Father Merrin. Anyways, that's all I got to talk about today, guys. I will be back with more Star Wars videos, movie reviews, movie talk, trailer reviews, and more. But thank you so much for watching again, and I will be back. But until then, I'm out. Peace.
Seriously, man, you and me, we're fucking done professionally. Fucking ass.